Hello and welcome. This is your host, Coach Kamul Hassan. Augmedix presents Next Gen Leaders Virtual Summit, the largest ever summit, career summit in Bangladesh ever happened. 8 days long, 80 plus speakers from all over the world, America to Europe to Asia to Africa, to professor from Harvard University to Bangladesh's different universities, professors, senior professors, honorable vice chancellors, chief executives, CFOs, and distinguished guests. They are joining into this 8 day long career development extravaganza. And this is the program brought to you in association with IPDC Finance, our career partner, Kormo by Google. It is one of Google's initiative, Kormo. So our student can get benefit out of this in terms of getting job. Our knowledge partner, Rakamari.com, country's leading e-commerce website for selling books. And we have some global partners, Key Leadership Institute from South Africa, and then Jump Movement from Netherlands, and Sensei from USA. Welcome to this session where we have invited three distinguished vice chancellors from various parts of our country, along with one dignitary, Dr. Jessica Ashe from USA. She is doing the education and development work for all over the world. So let me introduce in the very first phase, Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Primeasia University, Bangladesh. Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury.
Good afternoon, Coach Kamrul Hassan. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me in this session with this august, audience and also panelists from across the world. I must thank you, first of all, during this pandemic that you have organized such a big virtual summit for the young generations from across the world, and I am sure that students across the world, those who are participating in this summit, are going to benefit from the discussions that we will have today in our session and all the sessions that you have conducted so far. And this is an important issue that we must talk about the issue of the career guidance for youth. Today, that we are living in a world that we must try to acknowledge that world is actually changing so very fast due to the penetration of all the frontier technologies and advanced technologies. Technologies have already converged in all way. We see that how industry floor is actually changing. We see that how the demand from the workplace is also changing. We see that the skill and the competency requirement from the recruiters or the employment part, that is enormously different. I mean, in different way we can view it, that the current generation of the students or graduates that we are producing are no way fulfilling the demand from the employment side. And therefore it is very essential today that academia and industry, we really need to match the needs from both sides, and from the supply side and from the demand side, we have to match and see that how we can actually transform and convert our students to be acquainted with the modern technology and frontier technologies and the demand from the workplace that is going to be ensured. That is what I truly want from this summit. So I would actually, at the very beginning, I'm going to just end it here because there are other people to be introduced, and then obviously I'm going to come back and also discuss the issues that today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let me introduce our another honorable vice chancellor, my very respected Professor Dr. A.H.M. Mustafizur Rahman, honorable vice chancellor, Jatiya Kabi Kazi, Nazrul Islam University of Bangladesh. Honorable Professor Dr. A.H.M. Mustafizur Rahman. Assalamu alaikum and welcome, sir.
Thank you. Salam and Mujib Borsher Shubhechha. Shubhechha, our most respected father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, his centenary birth anniversary we are observing all over the country. So during this pandemic, we are simply extremely shocked because we can't celebrate the anniversary as we desire and we plan. So, but my best wishes to all of you, the viewers and also the organizer, Mr. Kamrul Hassan, and now the participants who have joined here today. this wonderful afternoon. In this session, Professor Abdul Hannan Chowdhury, Honorable Vice-chancellor, Primeasia University, and most honored guest from USA, Dr. Jatiya. So I'm very happy to be here with you. It's a very nice evening because Kamrul Hassan has organized this wonderful session.
Thank you, sir.
So he has given me this opportunity to be with all these enlightened people. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now let me introduce our international guest, Dr. Jessica Ashe, Chief Executive Officer, Global Mobility, who is working globally all over the world for the students' capacity development, for the student and education development. Today, we would like to hear from her as well because we have a great plan for Bangladeshi student as well. Dr. Jessica Ashe, welcome to this August Summit.
Good evening, Bangladesh, and good morning from the United States. Coach Kamrul Hassan, thank you for that amazing introduction. And it's a very auspicious event here today. Dr. Chowdhury and Dr. Rahman are amazing in their fields. And I just feel lucky, and I have great gratitude in my heart that I am able to participate in this wonderful event that you have going for us today. And I agree with Dr. Chowdhury that the marketplace and the business place is going to change. It's changing as we speak due to COVID. I think the most popular word I hear today is the ability to pivot. Everyone needs to be able to pivot and be adaptable in the workplace today. So we have a lot of wonderful things to talk about.
Thank you. We're waiting actually to have another distinguished Vice-chancellor from Jashore University of Science and Technology, Professor Dr. Muhammad Anwar Hossain. He would be joining with us anytime. So just a brief introduction. 3 wonderful, honorable Vice-chancellors of our country, and one of them, Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury, he is my direct teacher. So it is my immense pleasure to have my honorable teacher, and also he is also the advisor for this platform and the students' activities that we have launched called Next Gen Leaders Development. So it's my good luck, fortune, and to have alongside Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury and Professor Dr. A.H.M. Mustafizur sir, because I know this respected teacher, honorable professor, honorable vice-chancellor, what a wonderful human being he is. Just a brief introduction to Jessica, because I just came across honorable Professor Dr. A.H.M. Mustafizur very recently.
Excuse me. I am from sociology. My basic field of study is sociology. I graduated in sociology from Bangladesh and from Philippines also. But may I know about Professor Hannan Chowdhury, discipline? What's about your discipline, a major field of study?
Well, I'm kind of mixed background. That's what is the career seekers need heavily. I have graduated from Janginagar University in 1987 in statistics, but I started my career in a government university in Bangladesh in 1988, and in last 32 years I've been in the business school.
We're all getting used to this.
Some problem is there.
Maybe the sound issues is there. We'll be getting back to honorable vice-chancellor. So
how about
today,
Dr. Jessica, what's your field?
Sure, Dr. Jessica, could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely.
What you do and why you are here? Because all of the students and professors and honorable vice-chancellors, hundreds of people are watching right now, and they need to know who this wonderful lady is and where she is coming from USA to this program. Need to know.
So I'm very lucky to be a part of this. I feel very honored. So Dr. Rahman, sociology is very close to many of the fields that I've studied. My undergraduate degree is in anthropology. And my
very close to sociology.
Yes, it is. One of my final exams was to measure bones, though, so it was very interesting. But anyway, so my master's degree is in European languages and literature. It's from the University of Hawaii. So I taught French
in business school.
I'm sorry, what?
Your master's. You did your master's from which discipline?
In European languages and literature at the University of Hawaii. So I taught French there.
That's great.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And then my doctoral degree is in literacy and second language studies. So I went to places like Iraq and Germany. And in Germany, I learned German. And in Iraq, I taught English. I taught English in Korea. And now I'm getting my MBA and at University of Miami, Miami University in Ohio. And I teach, a lot of undergraduates. And in teaching a lot of undergraduates, I have found that they have a deep need for personal leadership skills. They think they can come to class late, like and so I have to say that's not a skill for success, or a habit for success. And I teach a lot of conflict resolution and personal management and other things like that.
Thank you.
Really great. Yeah, thank you very much.
We got back to our honorable Vice-chancellor, Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury among us again. So Hannan sir,
yes, I was actually talking about myself, about my background was actually very quantitative background. I did my master's and undergraduate in statistics, and I taught all my life in 32 years in business school, both in Government University in Bangladesh, 88 to 1992, and then in the USA in Boston. I was at Business School of Northeastern University for around 4 years teaching after my PhD, and then also at the University of Calgary in Canada, Alberta, and the University of Windsor. I was at the Audit Business School for 4 years, and then also at North-South University, where Kamrul was there. I was actually the Dean of the Business School of North-South University. So I served there also more than a decade, and I serve as a Vice-chancellor of Eastern University one term. And I am also serving my last year of my Vice-chancellorship at Primeasia University, the 4th year. This is my 4th year of Vice-chancellorship. So that's what is me. I have been working on career, heavily on career development, because I was the director of the career services at North-South University for 7 years. So I think this is what is me. I would love to work in the academia, and I'm always in some.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. If you allow me, sir, before we begin, sir, we have a customary because we have the Augmedix, which actually.
Yes, again the problem of correction,
Yeah. So I think sir will be back. We have the customary, if you allow me, sir, with the permission, as this is a career guidance show and this is Augmedix Presents Next Gen Leaders Virtual Summit. So let's know what actually Augmedix is, what they do, and why they're actually supporting us. It's an USA-based company. So let's play a small video clip of Augmedix, 30 seconds.
Okay, please.
কেমন চাকরি চাস? মাল্টিন্যাশনাল কোম্পানি, ভালো স্যালারি, মাসের 1 তারিখে, 2 দিন ছুটি, 2টা বোনাস, দ্রুত প্রমোশন, আর সাথে হেলথ ইন্স্যুরেন্স, ভালো খাওয়া দাওয়া, খেলাধুলা, আর সাথে জিম, কাজ শেষে বাসায় দিয়ে আসা। আর কি লাগে? এর জন্য আমার 50,000 বছর আগের কাঁচা ঘুমটা ভাঙালি। অগমেডিক্সে যা, সব পেয়ে যাবি।
Augmedix hiring scribes.
ও ভাই, ইংলিশটা একটু ভালো করে দিয়ে যান না।
That's Augmedix. This is a American company operating in health sector in Bangladesh as well. So, thank you. So as we are going to begin our session today, our topic is career guidance for youth. As you know, that Bangladesh is actually 70% is youth population, and every year about 2 million are graduating from universities. But unfortunately, our economy are not able to, give them all of them job, not even 50%. So majority of them then gets unemployed. So our aim and objective of CKC network is educate, empower, and enlighten the youths of Bangladesh. We want to create a skillful youths so that our nation can be getting benefit out of this youth population, because in order to receive the demographic dividend, we must give the skills to our youth, and that's the time for next 10 years. And that's the reason actually this summit is a kickoff. We are having now 7,500 students learning online soft skill at free of cost. We're having 22,000 students enroll for the program. So we're going to begin the career guidance show, because we are delighted to have two honorable vice chancellors along with Dr. Jessica Ashe, and expecting to join another vice chancellor from Jashore University of Science and Technology. So to begin with, as this is a career guidance for youth, can I have the introduction from Dr. A.H.M. Mustafizur Rahman sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Jatiya, Kabi, Kazi, Nazrul University, for our youth. In terms of career development and career guidance, what would you want to say to the youth?
Thank you, Mr. Kamrul Hassan. Yeah, it's a wonderful topic, and the question is very wonderful too, and very relevant for the session today. I am from a very general university. It's a public university and general by nature, not technical. Technical in the sense that it's not a science and technology university or the agricultural university. It's a public general university, So we put more emphasis on the general subjects and disciplines dealing with knowledge, basic knowledge, say literature, language, philosophy, history, and basic subjects, theoretical subjects from disciplines from science, physics, chemistry, math, statistics, and from business studies, we have marketing, management, and accounting, all these fields. And we have also music. We have also, drama, theater, and performance studies, and fine arts, and then film and media studies, and not many others. Or most of the disciplines are concerned with humanities. There are science disciplines also, but these are in fact very traditional disciplines and most basic, that the universities originated long, say when universities emerged on the earth. The basic disciplines we have literature, language, then history, then philosophy. And the modern public universities still hold this notion, and to spread the spirit of all these disciplines and humanity, disciplines from humanities, and also sciences, the most basic discipline from sciences. These are at modern time not at par, I think, as is expected for our youth to choose their career, so that they can come in competition and can show their efficiency and job skill at the same time in corporate world. It's my view anyway. So our universities, I think we should rethink, we should revise, and we should also include some such disciplines that will help our youth to adapt themselves and to achieve skills and career related knowledge and efficiencies. This sort of disciplines should be incorporated and should be opened in all public universities at modern time, so that our youth can go at par with the present world. That's all. Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll be coming back. Now I would like to request Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Primeasia University, because sir having also more than 35 years experience at home and abroad, majority in US, Canada, and also in Bangladesh as well, and guiding hundreds and thousands of students. So sir, can I have your thoughts for our students and career guidance? I mean, bringing out here all of your 35 years of experience. What would you want to say them today's students and youth who are going to pass and going to fight for their shared job market or entrepreneurship?
Thank you very much, Kamrul Hassan. Once again, I would like to say two things. First of all, from the academia part, we must try to understand that the generation of the students that we are teaching right now, these are called the millennial generations. These millennial generations' brain functioning is totally different than the earlier generation that we are in. We must try to acknowledge that the brain functioning of this group of the students, those who have born after 1990s, is completely different than the prior generation of Generation X and Generation Y and Generation Z that we are talking about right now. We must try to think about that, how we are going to cater these students from the academic institutions so that they are going to be successful in their own career. Then that is what is I would like to say from our part first, that we have to understand from the academia that we are teaching completely different type of students now than the earlier generation. Then it comes from the student part. The student that we are teaching right now, they can pursue any discipline, doesn't matter. Like Professor Mustafizur Rahman has mentioned that in his university there are liberal arts programs, there are music programs. It does not matter. We truly want to see one thing: eventually the graduates from across the discipline, no matter what discipline they are going to pursue, eventual success is the important issue in their own interest and own patience. We firmly believe that every single student has a patience for learning and patience for going for their own career. Could be a job, could be an entrepreneurship, could be an industry that they are going to be employable, could be a sector that they are going to serve. But these generations has to be converted and transformed in a way from the academic arena, in a way so that they have proper skills that are truly relevant for the upcoming world. And that is what is my message to the student. First of all, the student must need to understand one thing, that they are living in a different world, and this different world is going to be heavily competitive. The world, upcoming world, is going to be heavily competitive. Those students, they have their patience for doing something uniquely by adopting things that are surrounded in our community and in our neighborhood and in the job or workplace. It can be a technology that they must try to understand, they must try to learn. And that's why I always try to emphasize one thing, that STEM based education is very important for nowadays. No matter what student that we are producing, student must need to understand little bit of science, little bit of technology, little bit of engineering and math. And on top of it, every single student need to adopt the soft skills that are very important for the students. These soft skills could be a language skill, could be a programming skill, could be something a student need to understand, that he she is going to be a musician, and therefore technology with the music that he she is actually learning has to adapt. This adaptability is very important. And one thing that we want to tell all these students, try to understand what do we call the competency. You are living in a world that you have to adopt all sort of competency by enhancing your critical thinking power, your analytical frame of mind, and your leadership skills and your problem solving skills, so that you become somebody who is going to be truly innovative and simply can contribute in your workplace. That is what is very vital in nowadays. Other than that, Bangladeshi universities, like the way we produce the students at this moment, these generation of the students will be left out of the job market, left out of the right type of industries. In our country at this moment, we are bringing leaders, we are bringing corporate leaders from other countries. Why do we bring people from other countries? Because we do not have that potential, that our graduates cannot simply cross a level of doing job in a better mode, in a higher responsibility. That is something they have to adapt, that well, language skills and decision making power, your critical thinking power, and your knack for something that you want to do. And eventually you see that well, your leadership quality and working in a team environment is something so very important, that they have to have a collaborative mindset. They can share their views in a team environment, so that they can pick and also to share their own thoughts. And that sort of things is very essential nowadays. The traditional course and curriculum that we teach in across the world is actually become very obsolete nowadays. No matter it is in Bangladesh, even in the US, in the top universities, those who are teaching traditional course format of inline, in-class teaching, just for the sake of teaching, not focusing on that where their graduates are going to be absorbed. If they do not focus it, they are going to be left behind. And you will see companies and industries are going to go way forward because their needs are totally different. We are talking about that we are living in an era of fourth industrial revolution.
Thank you,
Technology
sir.
is swapping the industry floor, and therefore all the students has to adopt that things, that they are going to be acquainted with the sort of understanding of technology and having the quality of working in that kind of atmosphere. So that is what is, first of all, their mindset and willingness of working in a different environment, in a different world that we all are going to step into. That's what is, first of all, I would like to tell my students, to acknowledge that world is changing heavily and very fast. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your valuable guidance. Now, I would like to go to Dr. Jessica Ashe. We all know that Dr. Jessica Ashe, at the same time teaching at a university in the US, and she's working globally for the students' capacity development, for students' welfare development, and bringing them a global world-class education. And we are also in conversation with Dr. Jessica Ashe for various projects in Bangladesh to help our students, and also exchange program in US. Dr. Jessica Ashe. So bringing your wealth of experience into Bangladesh, into the world level, what you see globally, and what do you want to tell our youths of Bangladesh, our students of Bangladesh, looking into the glasses of your global lens?
Thank you for that introduction, Kamal, and my esteemed colleagues have laid a very solid foundation for anything that I might have to add. But at this point, I would like to introduce a paradigm shift. Instead of thinking when you graduate, what kind of job can I get? There are two different options to think. The first one is, what kind of job can I create? And so one of my projects right now is instilling the value of entrepreneurism in Macedonia. And so in places where there isn't a lot of employment, the mindset shift towards, well, what can I build, is very important. And many of you gentlemen all know that entrepreneurism is a key part of the United States. There are many small businesses all over the country. And in fact, this is how many citizens solve community problems. They see a community problem and they think, hey, I can create a business that solves that problem. So, that is one of the paradigm shifts I'm talking about. Another one is many students, and this builds off of what Dr. Chowdhury was saying, that students need these very practical skills in addition to all of the book work. And I have done a lot of volunteer work over the years, and I continue to do that because it builds my skill sets. And this is a very important component for people just graduating from school, is that nobody knows what your skills are. You haven't been out there. You may have great book knowledge, but many of our universities have instilled internships. And these internships or co-ops, they are a connection between businesses and the institutions, so that college students get these very practical skill sets before they graduate. So don't be afraid to volunteer. Get out of your own head if you think I shouldn't volunteer, because nobody's going to pay you if they don't see your actual skills in play. And some of those that, Dr. Chowdhury was talking about, critical thinking and other skills. And some of those are from Yuval Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So if there are students out there, thank you, by the way, everybody, for all of your wonderful comments. Thanks for joining us. So Yuval Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century talks about all of the skills that have nothing to do with a degree that students need, whether that's critical thinking. And I have a little game if I get a chance to share my screen that shows you an example of critical thinking, communication, both written and in person, these soft skills, the ability to talk to people that you've never met before and overcome your own fears, all in teamwork.
Dr. Jessica, you can share a screen. So I will go after you're finishing. I'll go to Dr. Mustafiz. Then you prepare your screen. You can show what you want to show, right?
Yeah, wonderful. I will do that. So thank you. So getting to the point where you either get a paycheck, it involves you making connections with people and having other people see your actual skill sets. One other piece of advice at this point, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about, but is don't look at a job with the idea of this is the job description, because job descriptions are always changing and you can't put everything needed for one job in one description. So you're not going to show up at a job and say, I'm sorry, that's not in the job description. You know, you have to be willing to think outside the box and do things differently. You know, well, my degree doesn't say that. Well, I don't care what your degree says. Go get that skill or be open-minded enough to try and do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's just an introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now I want to request Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dr. A.H.M. Mustafizur Rahman, Vice-Chancellor from Jatiya Kabi Kazi Nazrul Islam University. Sir, আপনি শুনছিলেন অন্যান্যদের কথা, Hannan স্যারের কথা এবং from Dr. Jessica Ashe as well. Hannan sir emphasized on soft skill and Jessica Ashe emphasized on voluntary work and also the entrepreneurial mindset. So your say on to this, because you are into a university where you're coming from sociology background, you know the psychology and social aspect, psychosocial aspect versus our world's the real ground, you know, battlefield. So what is your say into this industry, into this two aspect? Sir, আপনার ভয়েসটা মিউট করা আছে স্যার, আপনাকে শুনতে পাচ্ছি না। Thank you, sir.
I really enjoy this session. Not as a teacher, but as a student of Professor Hannan and Professor Jesse, because today's topic is they are very vibrant and they are the scholars on this topic. As far as you know, their discussion, their articulation and expression and knowledge is concerned, I can rather learn from them today, but I can raise some issues as a vice-chancellor of a public university, general university. And I will request Professor Hannan and also Professor Jesse so that I can learn from them.
Professor Hannan.
So that I can share these with my knowledge with my students here in my campus. Because I am from sociology, I have already told about my background. I graduated from sociology. I did my degree in the Philippines in rural sociology. And I studied the poverty in Bangladesh, rural poverty. So I have gathered field level knowledge, empirical knowledge about my society, my people. So I know the demand of the people of this country. So as you mentioned that having been from sociology, I have got my own views towards life, towards demands, supply, needs of the country, of the people. So as far as I'm concerned, with the students' demand and students, you know, future career, they are still, most of the students in the studying at public universities are in the dark, because they are just getting degrees, receiving degrees, without knowing what actually they will be doing on completion of their degrees. And you already mentioned that every year we produce from our 43 public universities and 100 plus private universities and more than 300 colleges all over the country, around 2 million or 20 lakhs of students, you know, graduate students, they are having graduation from universities and colleges every year. But these two, most of them, they don't really know what to do after their graduation. That is a big problem. And I think Dr. Jesse and Professor Hannan, these two dignified scholars, Hannan, Chowdhury, to give appropriate and a right direction, proper direction for the students, for these graduates. I see what I find. I think that we just can produce our graduates, but we need help from the government. We need help from the entrepreneurs in the country. We need help from the technologists. Need help from the industrialists. We need uh, help from the business, business people, experts from business areas, so that we can develop. I will rather suggest to develop relationship between private partner, relationship, or universities versus enterprises, universities versus government offices, universities versus bureaucracies, universities versus government, and all various ministries of the government. So, if we can coordinate this relationship and develop this relationship, then our students may receive enough and adequate benefit and sufficient benefit from this sort of interaction and public-private partnerships. And this interaction will enable the public university teachers to orient their students, help develop, choose their career in future on completion of their degrees. Merely receiving degrees from these public universities, colleges, and private universities, the students needs what they need most at the moment: a guidance, a direction, where to go, how to develop their skill, what sort of career they should choose. So, a student passing from history, graduating from history or literature or sociology, oh, we don't need lot many sociologists in the country, but we need lot many technicians, technical know-how, and technically skilled population for our country. Say, demand of the millennium, demand of the time. So our students from public universities need this sort of cooperations and suggestions from you. And I expect that you will highlight on these issues and points.
Dhanyabad. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you so much. Going back to Professor Dr. Abdul Hannan Chowdhury, Honorable Vice-chancellor, Primeasia University. Sir, Jessica যেটা বলছিলেন যে we need to create entrepreneurship. We need to create entrepreneurial mindset. We need to emphasize on the voluntary work, community work, from student to coming towards the corporate or going towards the business. So what would you say actually about this mindset development for building entrepreneurship from the student level and working voluntarily? If anything you want to add into this, so please, sir, feel free. And
I think, in my view, Jessica has rightly pointed out one thing, that the world that we are living right now, even if you consider Bangladesh situation of our country, this country, Bangladesh, will never ever be able to give that many jobs in our country. We do not have that many jobs for our graduating students. Every year we are producing around 1 million students from across the discipline from our country. So these students are going to look forward to be absorbed in real life. And therefore entrepreneurship skill is very essential. And she also mentioned one thing, that, well, how business can actually solve problems in the society or community that are very important. We really need to encourage our students to think about the social issues and environmental issues and our community problems, and they are going to be able to design business and entrepreneurship ideas, business modeling. Even using technology, they can go for e-commerce platform or designing computer apps through which they are going to resolve truly the problems that are encountered in our community. During COVID-19 pandemic situation, we understand that how difficult it is for us to resolve many health issues. But there are opportunities to do businesses. There are opportunities to do even great business ideas are actually floating around in our community. The problem is our graduates are too traditional. They only focus on one thing, that when they are going to get a certificate is not going to give them their career until and unless they can shape their career focusing on one thing, that where this world is actually heading towards. Every single students or graduates need to learning how to learn, and thinking how to think. This is what is very essential for all these students nowadays. They really need to create social impact and the impact in the community by creating a new business ideas. That's what actually Jessica has emphasis, that entrepreneurship is something is going to be very vital in the upcoming world, because the students and graduates are not going to look for job, rather they are going to say that we are creating jobs for other people. That is what is the mindset that we really need at this moment, that we are not going to look for jobs, we are going to rather create jobs for other people. The business, the apps, whatever we are going to develop, they are going to absorb by many graduates in the upcoming days. Therefore graduates has to change their mindset. In our country, the success is defined by how many students are getting BCS job or government job. That is not an indicator at all at this moment, the world that we are living in. We are producing millions of children. They have innovative mindset, they are creative, their thinking power is totally different, and they have enormous power in their own self. The problem is that we are not giving them unleashing their hidden potential. I believe that every single student has potential. Kamrul, you remember that when I came at North South University from North America, I have given heavy emphasis on transforming our graduates and penetrating the world market. I do not focus at any level in our country that our graduates are going to be absorbed in our country. I'm firmly a believer that my students are going to be absorbed in world market. They're going to go to Google and Microsoft and any brand name companies and corporations from this country to across the world. That is what should be the vision for the academicians, to think that they are going to produce a world-class graduates from even a country like Bangladesh. People, those who think that they are producing graduates for only for the local market, this is an obsolete idea, and it is never ever going to fulfill the demand from the millions of children that we are producing. In Bangladesh, we have a demographic dividend. Currently, that our we our 60% of the population are below 35 years old. This is a young country, and it is going to remain young for many more years. And therefore, it is very essential for us to place these young graduates to across the world. No matter where they go, they are going to be a very good foreign currency earner for this country. We should not expect that our children are going to be restricted themselves within this small boundary of the country. And if they think that they are going to be foolish, I would request all these students, those who are listening, they must think that their world is going to be the whole world. They should not think that their world is Bangladesh. Bangladesh in this period cannot simply afford that many graduates that they are producing. Every single student has to think, what is special inherent characteristics that I have? Do I really have a patience for doing something? It can be a voluntary job that can help him or her to go to the real life, to do an NGO job, to do an international job, to do and serve the nations and community and the neighborhood. And it is something that the student has to go beyond the boundary and beyond the box thinking. If they think that, well, they are going to only focus on the traditional curriculum while they are in the university, they are going to end up with a frustration, because they are not going to be absorbed by the job that we have in the current state of our country. Even in our country, due to the technology and digital transformation, the demand side from the corporations and industries have changes enormously, and therefore graduates has to adopt technology, no matter they pursue liberal arts program or any program. We give heavy emphasis in private university the liberal arts learning, and therefore we firmly believe that student needs ethics, morality, philosophy of life, and social commitment, and also religious and spiritual belief. This is very essential for an individual to grow as a real human being. This human being has to be converted as a real human capital. That capital is going to work anywhere and everywhere. They are going to bring good for them, and they are going to bring good for the society. And that is what academician like us has to believe, and they have to act on those things. Also, Kamrul, because you are working with the corporations and industry, there is a huge gap between industry and academia. Industry has to collaborate with the academia. That collaboration has to be enhanced in Bangladesh heavily, because once industries say that this is what is their demand and they need this kind of courses, for example, artificial neural networks or artificial intelligence or deep learning or machine learning or even the digital marketing or supply chain, all those new latest things has to be teach in the classroom in our country, so that our students and graduates are going to learn new things that are very important for the upcoming world. The world is changing fast. We must acknowledge that things. The student has to also agree on that things. Due to the penetration of the frontier technologies, the job market, the demand from the industry side is going to be heavily different in the upcoming years. Those who are going to focus on only on BCS job, they are going to be a real loser in our country, because that many only 3,000-4,000 students are absorbed after 4 years or 5 years. It is not a job market for these students, and it is not a career for these students. Careers are going to be entangled with their own vision. The vision, if a graduate is going to keep in their hearts for a long time, and we want to see that their desired goal and desired dream are going to become a reality, and that reality is never ever going to be become a true reality until and unless they adopt the things that are truly important, the skill that we call the social skill or other technical skill or communication skill, whatever you say, leadership skill, that is very essential. Otherwise, Bangladesh is going to suffer a lot, because Bangladesh in one side producing enormous graduates, but their leaders are going to be from different country. As you know that at this moment, a neighboring country is taking around $5 billion per year for the employment sector of our country. How a country like Bangladesh can afford that things that a neighboring country is taking $5 billion by sending their human resources in our country, and they do lead our corporations and industry and businesses. And it is something that we have to capture that market, and you cannot capture it until and unless you have that inherent capacity of actually delivering the leadership, delivering the understanding the technology, understanding businesses, understanding the teamwork, understanding the job market and workplace. And our students, those who are listening today, I would request all of them to find out their own problem. What is the missing part in their own life? If they are not good at English, they must learn it. If they are not good at computer programming, they must learn it. If they are not good at identifying that do they have an skill inherent in them, they should build that skill, and that skill is going to help them to survive in the upcoming world. Otherwise, no job will be there, and you will see a jobless future is going to come in front of us. So the current state of the world has to be understood by every single graduate from across the world. It is not our country. The world is changing, and therefore graduates from across the world has to understand that, well, in the changing mode, we are going to adopt those capacity and adopt those competency in us, and therefore we are going to make and take those challenges, and we are going to overcome those hurdles and barriers and eventually become a successful individual. And that's what is the target.
Wonderful. I think it's wonderfully articulated. I must applaud my teacher for that, and it's wonderful. So that's the reason actually we have brought Jessica Ashe. And Jessica, if you want to share anything, please go ahead. Because we want to give our student a global flavor, global career, global opportunities, and global thoughts. Jessica.
Thank you, Kamrul. I think we moved on from the critical thinking, so I'm going to not share that. But to build off the energy of what Dr. Chowdhury was saying, many people come to me and they say, "Oh, I want to learn English," and I can teach you all day long. But if it doesn't get in your head, if you don't do the work to really absorb the language or whatever you're trying to learn, science, then it's all for naught. Teaching is 5% me, and it's 95% the student. They actually have to do it. And that's a lot of what Dr. Chowdhury was saying is that people have to be results oriented. And when we talk about being results oriented, that means if you say you want to learn English, then you learn it. Like you have to be the driver of your own bus and the driver of your own career. No one else is going to do it for you. And in that light, many people are focusing on problems. And they're saying, oh, this is a problem and this is a problem. Don't focus on the problem. 20% focus on the problem, 80% on the solution. You have to come up with a solution. So if you do get a job and you have a boss, you can't go to your boss and say, oh, I found this problem. You have to say, I found this problem and here's a possible solution. Always come up with a solution, or it may not be the final solution, but it can be a starting place. And you can't just go to your boss and say, there's this problem. Well, I found this problem and this is what I think is a good solution for it. But I want to take a break right here because I've been watching the chat and it's really exciting. There are some people that are saying some awesome things. So I want to reach out to
Yeah, sure. We will answer some of this. Going to then Professor Dr. Mustafizur Rahman sir, Honorable Vice-chancellor from Jatiya Kabi Nazrul Islam University. স্যার, আপনি শুনছিলেন যে আমাদের সামাজিক যে অবস্থা, আমাদের আর্থ সামাজিক যে প্রেক্ষাপট, সোশিও ইকোনমিক্যাল the situations and our mindset and mentality also a very big role playing. The mindset of going towards only the government job, mindset towards not to do business. Oh no, I cannot even marry a businessman. I cannot marry my give my daughter to a businessman. It's risky. So how you want to address as you are expert into the social and rural economy and sociologist? Sir, আপনার মাইক্রোফোনটা অফ করা। স্যার, আপনার মাইক্রোফোনটা অফ করা আছে স্যার। Sir, microphone.
Very nice, wonderful question. Before I answer to you and pick up your issue to discuss, I must congratulate Professor Dr. Hannan Chowdhury because of his very scholarly and very wonderful discussion on the issue and its topic. I think the viewers now sitting in front of their smartphone or laptop, they who are watching this session, they will receive enough benefit, and they will be benefited much from Professor Hannan Chowdhury's lecture and long discussion, which is very relevant, very valuable, very important, and also, as well as from Dr. Jessica's discussion. Me, as a general speaker, as a student of general public university, not at all technical, not at all relating to business or entrepreneurship or industry, no, a field of society, student of society. So from that viewpoint, I want to raise some issues. I think these are also important if you think that way. We have been producing graduates from public and private universities every year. Yes, it is very essential to produce lot many graduates to enlighten the society, to enlighten the world, whole world, to make the world highly qualified, to give the world, to give the earth, this planet, qualified graduates. And I don't believe that once an individual is qualified and knowledgeable, and if he really receives real knowledge from universities as well as earns his degree, he will never sit idle. He will never be left unemployed by the nation, by the country. I don't believe. And Professor Hannan Chowdhury has rightly pointed out, yes, the individuals should be given the choice that what sort of potentials they do have, what efficiency and what sort of expertise and skill he can develop to cope with and to choose a profession, job in future. The individual will have to be given this opportunity, freedom by their guardians, by their teachers. And we must not compel our students, we must not compel our children to grow as we desire. No, let them grow as they desire. Okay? If it is, then they will have a freedom. And one thing, our mindset should be changed. As a student of sociology, I must say, the mindset of the guardians, the mindset of the teachers should be changed. In what direction? The direction is simply that they will have to teach the students and orient their boys and girls so that they can be self-dependent, they can be self-reliant, and they can be sufficiently oriented to choose and to find proper appropriate career to build. A student graduating from history or philosophy must not be hopeless, must not be frustrated, thinking that the world, the globe is growing very technical and technologically skilled people are needed, and he or she is obsolete. He or she is not at par, and he's not going at par the modern world. No, not. He can develop skill, develop know-how, develop expertise. He needs to adapt himself to the modern world, as Professor Hannan Chowdhury has prescribed and suggested. That is very important. So we need more qualified graduates for the nation, for an enlightened world. At the same time, we need diversification of career. Yes, if I produce a graduate from sociology, my student should have this sort of mentality that he can do any job, not merely a BCS. He will qualify the BCS and doing a government job. No, he won't think that I will become a teacher. No, whatever job or profession, whatever work may benefit him, or he may earn he may earn livelihood for his family or for himself, he will choose, and he will may switch over. So I think this way there should be a change among the mindset of the graduates, and the society will have to come forward. The government will have to come forward, and the teachers of the public universities and private universities, they should be also trained accordingly, so that they can contribute to change the mindset of the students, so that they can help the students gain some confidence that they won't be unemployed, that they will learn, and they will learn the skills how to adapt to the modern world, as Professor Hannan Chowdhury has prescribed. Yes, that's my points. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Before going to Dr. Hannan Chowdhury, sir, can I ask Dr. Jessica Ashe? Jessica, I mean, the way world is moving towards the technology, diversity, and inclusion. So orientation about the new technologies, new beginning because of COVID or before the COVID. I think COVID has expedited a bit. So would you like to talk a bit about it so that we can go towards the Professor Dr. Hannan Chowdhury sir as well, because he is more into also expert into the technology and industrialization as well, so that connecting a bit.
Yeah,
so from US perspective to Bangladesh perspective, correct?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Kamrul. So instead of the mindset of I have to learn this technology or this technology, it's really a fluid situation, and we are adapting to new technologies all the time. And I think, and people should not be afraid. When we first moved online, everybody's voice was going off, or their screen would freeze, and then sometimes people just get dropped from class and we don't know why. So the first part of my answer is that we're always adapting to new technologies. It's no longer an era of, oh, if I learn this one technology, I'll be fine. And then the second part of that is try not to get frustrated. We spend our whole day online working now, and there are going to be technological glitches, and you're going to make mistakes, and don't be afraid of them. No one is perfect in running a session like this, except maybe Kamrul and his team. They're just so awesome at it. But you know, students get frustrated or they get upset because they get kicked out of the class. And I would say, don't focus on the frustrations. I would say focus on your effort and focus on your intention and that you are trying to stay connected. And don't use it as an excuse. Sometimes students will message me the next day and they'll say, "Oh, I didn't have internet yesterday," and that's a cop out. You know, if you're having problems with your internet, stay connected. WhatsApp or send an email and say, "Hey, my connection's off right now," but just keep trying to stay connected and keep trying to learn new technologies, and don't be upset about that. And then one other point that I know that you want to talk about technology, but I wanted to mention about Dr. Chowdhury talking about local jobs. And there was somebody who asked about a global career. So those are kind of combined, because if you think your job is only local, you're probably wrong. Most jobs are becoming global. And if you want a global career, you have to get global skill sets. And those are the ones we're talking about today. So
exactly. Right, that's
Thank
right.
you. Yeah, I think it's because many of our students actually, not many, some of them actually can think of global career. It's very few. But I think this is the time, going back to Dr. Hannan Chowdhury sir, going back to thinking about how we can actually, those who are thinking to now those who can actually get the job. Sir, in this transition, how technology can help them, and the mindset and technology, what would you say to them? Because the world now in absolutely depending on the technology, the orientation, connections. Today we're talking, you are in Gulshan, Jessica is in Ohio, Dr. Mustafizur Rahman sir is in Maimanshing. So your advice and suggestions for the career seeker, global career, and everything.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kamrul. I was actually watching, one of the student was also writing over here in your show that she says that, well, BCS job is something that they feel safe, and therefore government jobs, they are always running after it. I would like to answer that question to that student first of all. Let my
Sure.
humble request to all the graduating students and these job seekers. The world is far bigger and it is beyond BCS. You simply do not know that what kind of lucrative career is waiting for you in the global market. You simply do not want to penetrate in that market. I would request you to go take out your fear about that. You are someone who can do it. And like you, many my students at North South University, when I was there, many of my students are very general students and common students with common background, but they ended up going to Google, to Walmart, to Microsoft, to even top corporations in across the world. They are working in Singapore to Dubai to even US to UK. I think Bangladeshi students do not know that job market is waiting in across the world, and they have to think beyond the boundary. That mindset has to be there. One thing, that no matter what degree you pursue in any academic institutions, influence of academic institutions in our country has failed to transform a graduate virtually. We have to agree on that things. No, our institution is actually influenced heavily in terms of their learning part in the institutions, but we do respect our system that at least we are trying to give something better in the current state of the time. Therefore, the students has to think that, well, learning by doing is an essential thing for them. They are going to learn many things while they are going to work, and that adaptability, understanding the basic things is very important. They have to agree one thing, that world is interconnected. The world that we are living right now is heavily interconnected, and this interconnected world is for everybody, no matter where you live, in rural village of Bangladesh or in Washington DC or New York City. It does not matter. The matter is that, are you willing to cross the boundary or make your world big. Think big in terms of your learning part, and take the challenges at this stage while you are young. You cannot be somebody like me. When I graduate, I did not see even a computer, but we are adapting things every time. Every now and then we are adapting with the technology. Even at this stage of my own career, we are trying to adopt technology, those things. Every human being needs to have some patience for learning, because academic institutions cannot give all sort of knowledge within the boundary of the institutions. Learning and knowledge dissemination is something is very important from our part, but we cannot teach anything and everything that are essential for a graduate. Graduate has to have a free mind to adopt those things. That's why from now on, my request to all the graduates to take the advantage of technology. There are free courses are going on in across the world. Learn whatever missing in you. You see that the classroom in university we changed. We're not teaching like a traditional way of lecture-based lessons in even private universities. We're talking about flipped classrooms. We're talking about blended learning. We're talking about participatory-oriented classrooms where students are going to participate and learn. And that is what is very important. Remember one thing: for every single human being, the way technology changes, human beings need to also change and adapt things. And improvement of any essential inherent attitude or aptitude or inherent capacity can always be improved by having a mindset that improvement is a never ending process, and it is going to be always there as long as you have that mindset. Students has to understand that technology converges, all sort of technologies are merging together, and therefore interdisciplinary knowledge is important. And also, as Jessica mentioned, that student has to always focus on solutions. Solution is something they have to always think about for a given problem, but they have to also acknowledge that for a given problems there might not be one single solution. There might be multiple correct solution for any given problem, and eventually they are going to run after the optimal solution. That is very important. And my request to the students that change your mindset, believing that, well, BCS is the only way of having a good career. That is a narrow-minded thinking process. Your world, you do not know that even a graduate from a low quality than you is having a wonderful life in another part of the world, bringing enormous foreign currency for the country, bringing
Exactly.
technology and bringing knowledge. And that's what is very important. They have to agree that it is very possible even from a country like Bangladesh. I would request them, they have to be willing for one thing, that we are living in a world of 7.5 people now. Every 25 years another billion people are going to come and add with this number. The world is going to become a very complex one. Health issues, environmental issues, issues of the society, and all those of unjust inequality is going to be there. And with these circumstances, one has to live with the target that he she wants. And that's what somebody, those who are going to be successful, those who have the mindsets of accepting the world fast, that this world is a changing world, it is not the earlier world. And after this pandemic, even the post-pandemic world will be different. The learning even is going to be very hybrid. Learning from the academic institutions are going to be one kind, and they are going to also gain knowledge from CKH. They are going to learn knowledge from other platforms for their social skills, their life skills, their soft skills, and skills they do not have. So students have to be very willing that knowledge is something that we always have to work on adopting knowledge, rather than focusing on exam-based curricula, where we are only producing graduate based on some exam. These exams and these grade sheets and transcript will never ever going to give them ultimate satisfaction in their own career. And therefore it is very important for them to to understand that, well, a certificate is not going to give you anything and everything in your life. Rather, your skill, your interest, and your hard work, integrity, devotion, and continuous work of improvement will eventually make yourself a successful individual. That is what is my message to the student of the upcoming generations.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So wonderful.
Thank you, sir, for your, I think, invaluable speech.
Yep.
So over to
Can I add
Dr.
something real quick?
Professor. Please.
So,
Please.
Dr. Chowdhury made me think of this. One of the reasons that I love working with developing nations is that the people tend to have a very strong sense of resilience. The ability to overcome is a very important trait. And Dr. Paul Stoltz calls that the adversity quotient. The ability to overcome, and that's one of the reasons why I love working with people in developing nations. And the other one is usually they can often have a determination, a strong determination for their country to get to that better place. You know, I lived in Korea before it was developed, and then I got to watch as those very determined and intelligent and people just overcame, and now it's a developed nation. And I love working with that kind of energy. And I have a team in Pakistan right now of female entrepreneurs, and we're working on getting their products to the global market. And there are some great companies out there now that will help people in developing nations get their products to the global stage where they belong.
Thank you, Jessica, for your input. So going back to Professor Dr. A.H. Mustafizur Rahman, sir, Honorable Vice-chancellor. Sir, as a result of joblessness situations, and you see our students, and they're suffering to the career, and they go to the depression, and they lose the hope of their life. So your piece of advice to them, because we actually see that the students, young professionals, dipping into deep depression, and that actually taking them towards a very chronic disease, one after another, and getting disharmony in the society. So what would you say actually to address beforehand?
Thank you, Mr. Kamul Hassan. It's a very nice question and very relevant. And I was not expecting this sort of question because it goes with my field, my sociology. I'm not at all pessimistic, in my thoughts and ideas. Rather, very much optimistic. I am thankful to Professor Hannan Chowdhury because I have learned much, that I will share with my young colleagues of this university and also my students on various occasions when we meet them. And maybe that I may invite also Professor Hannan Chowdhury to my university if he kindly responds to my invitation. So I have got some points from the valuable discussion of Dr. Jessica and Hannan Chowdhury as well. The optimism I hold, yes, we must not think this way, that we are producing enormous or innumerable graduates every year from our public, private universities and government colleges. Not this way. We are doing a very great thing. I already told you and mentioned it, as a student of sociology, I need more and more qualified persons for the globe to enlighten. And also human sciences to be taught at universities so that people at large in the globe become a good human being. They need to study humanities. It is very essential for all universities in the globe at large. The students must learn subjects and disciplines under the Faculty of Humanities that will include sociology, literature, history, philosophy, music, fine arts, film and media studies, all these things, journalism, public administration. So, what I mean, if a student really gains knowledge, there can be no alternative to knowledge, real knowledge. learning, real learning. If really a student learns things as it is meant for him by the syllabus, course curriculum, by his discipline, by his teacher's lecture, I am sure no matter what is his or her discipline is, if he really learns things, he will certainly win to adapt himself to the modern world once he really gains knowledge in his own field, in his own discipline. So I am not at all pessimistic. I am rather optimistic. I rather encourage all my students, now the viewers, I request them all, you please be serious. You please take care of what you are learning. Are you learning properly? Do you really mean what you are learning? You know what is happening at our universities nowadays? Many students going to the library, they're studying mathematics, they're studying English grammar books and getting prepared for the BCS exams instead of getting good grades and getting good scores in their final exams in their own discipline. He or she is studying at universities. Yes, if this is the notion to get a good job, to qualify in the BCS exam, to get to ensure a government job upon completion of the degrees, this situation will be simply disband and frustrating for these upcoming graduates passing from all public and private universities. This is one thing. The students will have to change their mindset first, and the teachers can play a vital role in this regard. And I would rather request the government to come forward to take effective initiative to bridge a academia industry relationship, which is very important nowadays. Professor Hannan Chowdhury must meet Professor Mustafizur. They'll sit together, they'll talk together, they will discuss together, and they will have to come forward from Dhaka city to Mymensingh, to Jamalpur, to Rajshahi, to Gaibandha, to Khulna. Yes, a very decentralization for this nation, for the country, and all over the world, across the country, is very essential. The people or the government should not tend to establish all entrepreneurs and all industries near the cities and around the cities, within the cities. No, this industrialization should be decentralized so that local people can get to know the sufficient knowledge and know-how to adapt to the modern world. And unemployment problem will be lessened this way when they will be provided in the local industries and local entrepreneurs. Yes. My suggestion is that, please, I will take a little more time. The experts from various industries, government offices, bureaucracies, and private universities, we have got very skilled professors from private universities, like Professor Hannan Chowdhury, Yes, I know Dhaka city. We have got a lot many. And they have earned very good and reputed, they have studied reputed universities in foreign countries, in the USA, Canada, England, Australia. So there should be a very good, relationship. There should develop. The government should take up this sort of relationship. Those professors should visit, should give lectures to the private universities. They will be hired. They will be invited by the public university vice-chancellors and teachers. There should be a large-scale interaction between the teachers of the private and public universities, and also the entrepreneurs and the university teachers. So they should sit together. And also there should be the arrangement, there should be the initiative of giving proper orientation for the public university students, college students. How? The experts will come from the cities, from various fields. They'll give lecture on skill development, career development. Yes. And even the teachers should be oriented for the public and private university. The teachers should be given orientation properly by the guardians, by the seniors, by Professor Hannan Chowdhury, by Jessica. Yes. Then this way we can give sufficient skill development and career development ideas and orientation, so that the students will find a hope for their future career. Yes, they can attain self-reliance. they can attain the confidence that they will do something. They won't only go for government jobs.
Thank you so much. I think Dr. Jessica, you want to add something? Looks like, please go ahead.
Yes. So I get a lot of students who requests for people say, how can you deal with these online classes in this terrible time? And I would like to say that there is a lot of horrendous, unprecedented fear on earth.
Ashe.
And in response to that, in fact, because of all of that anxiety, this moment right here between the four of us and all of our wonderful people out there watching, this is a privileged moment of connection. It's a privileged place of connection. If you're lucky enough to be a student online this fall, I know it's not what you wanted, but it is a possible connection. And to fight depression, to fight the sadness, don't focus on what the government isn't or is doing. Focus on what is possible right now. And this connection is possible, and other things are possible. And if you can reorient your mind away from the fear and towards that very key word of what is possible, then you can try to make yourself, you can get yourself to a better place mentally if you can do that.
Thank you. So we're going to close within 5 minutes. So before we close, we'll go to Hansa definitely. I need a minute exactly to run a quiz, because we are running a competition for a student to give certificate and quiz master batch. So it will take 50 seconds. Can I have the quiz on the screen? And those who are responding fast, 10 of you would get a certificate and quiz master batch. So you need to respond A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, only the comments. Who is the author of famous book, Think and Grow Rich? The fastest responder would get the quiz master certificate. You don't have time to Google it, right? So if you're Googling it, so you're losing the chance to fast answer it. So respond it fast, A, B, C, D. So that's quick. So 10% would get the quiz master recognition. Thank you so much. And meanwhile, we're also running after the super achiever knowledge seeker. Those who are going to submit 10 session summary, including this one, if you're submitting, you get a book, life-changing book like Think and Grow Rich, and a certificate, a crest. And if you're champion into this category, you get 5 books like Think and Grow Rich. You get a championship certificate, you get a crest, you get a coaching session by me, and also you get to have a Facebook Live where we're going to introduce you towards the larger audience.
Sorry, I was disconnected.
No issue, sir. Welcome back. So we are running a quiz.
Should I finish? Should I finish?
Please, sir. Finish.
Professor Hannan Chowdhury, I salute you, because you have rightly remarked when you say that our boys and our children should think this way, that we are now we are a global citizen. We are global citizen now. We must not confine our area of interest and our job market within our own small country. No, simply not. The whole world is my job place. Yes. And so we shall have to explore jobs, not only in my country, in the whole globe. The globe is mine. I belong to the whole world now. We are now global citizens. So the students will have to be oriented accordingly by the teachers. Yes, that you think locally, but no, you work locally, but think globally. If we can just do this way, we shall work here, but we shall think from global perspective. Yes. When COVID-19 attacks, at China, began China, then I felt like attacking by COVID-19. The whole world is attacked. The whole world is affected today, and COVID-19 has made the whole world, brought the whole world under one shade, and the humanity, just one humanity. Where is that human being? So helpless, So let's think this way. We belong
Thank you, sir.
to this world. No more anxiety, and we must not be worried about our jobs. Let's gain knowledge, not only for the sake of knowledge, to learn things, to adapt ourselves to the modern world, technical know-how, to learn modern technology. And Anand sir has already mentioned, we must know English, we must learn computer, we must learn all other technical know-how that is important to cope with the modern society and modern world, so that we cannot remain unemployed. We can do something to earn livelihood for our family, for myself, for my country at the same time. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
is
so
my-
much. Over to Hannan Chowdhury, sir. We're going to finish within 5 minutes. So your closing remarks and your concluding remarks about the session, students, if you wanted anything. So, sir, over to you.
I want one more
thank-
point, please. I have one more point, please. Professor Hannan Chowdhury and Professor Jessica, I thank them very much, because it's a wonderful evening and afternoon, and I have learned some new things, from them. Because they are technically skilled persons and the scholars. I am not. I am just merely a student of sociology. I study society. I don't know things what they have think, and
Thank you,
therefore I
sir, for being so
very
generous.
much. So what is important? What is important? I thank you very much also for organizing this wonderful session for my young
Thank you,
students, viewers now. And what I say, Jessica, Dr. Jessica, and Dr. Hannan Chowdhury, I'll request personalities and scholars like them to come down to people, to us, to our students. Yes. For
Well,
helping them,
Jessica will come. We will bring Jessica definitely.
for helping them to choose a career, how to
Inshallah.
skill,
Thank you,
how
sir.
to develop their skill, how to adapt themselves to the modern world. Okay, or they may choose or select people to send to our this academia, our world.
Absolutely. Thank you,
you
sir.
very
You're
much.
so
Thank you.
generous. Hannan Chowdhury, sir.
Thank you very much. First of all, once again at the very concluding session, thank you, Kamrul Hassan, for inviting me. Also, Jessica and Mustafizur Rahman has been also very wonderful individuals with us. I took the invitation from Mustafizur Rahman. I have been actually traveling across the world, and as you know that well, more than couple of hundred universities that I have got the invitation from across the world, and I'm going basically to talk about shaping the students in their own dream comes
Yeah,
true. That is what
that's
I
good.
always talk about too. So my vision as being an academician, I would like to tell it clearly. I am a very humble professor in Bangladesh who has started his journey in a government university like anybody else, but my vision was always that I have to create impact in the students' mind so that we can see that the students are going to be transformed and will be eventually highly valued and eventually be successful. By success, always I do not mean that they are going to be enormously rich or they are going to be famous. I would like to see that well inside every human being, whether they are going to be happy. Happiness is something is very important for all the human being eventually to measure the success, success measure. Student has to understand one thing, that life journey is like any other journey that we go in a trip or whatever. It's never going to be in a smooth one, and it is not going to be in a straight line. Life journey is like any other thing, is going to be difficult, it is bumpy, and in different path of the life journey one has to take decision to even change their mind to go to the long desired goal to be reached. Every human being needs to have a long desired goal, and in order to go to that path, if you have a sincere mindset, and if you are honest, and if you work with integrity and always try to change yourself by working on those deficiencies that you have, you should be able to improve yourself and eventually to go to that ladder of your life. Therefore, willing to take challenge is something very, very important. Willing to take challenge, because life without challenge is not something that one should enjoy. You should enjoy taking challenges in your life. Every beat of moment, you should take that enjoyment from taking challenges and solving and crossing those challenge is the beauty of the life. No life is actually enjoyable if everything goes smooth. And therefore, even in during this pandemic, as you know, that academia has got the hard hit. Our students are dispersed from across, from our university and institution. We cannot connect them, but we are connecting them through technology. And therefore, even in my university, within this short period of time, I'm the only university in very few private universities. I developed my own software to run my online courses, not depending on the Google Classroom or Zoom or whatever UGC and other, this. We have developed our own system. I gave name of that, which UGC and Ministry have gave, big thanks to me. I took that challenge that, well, we should not be apart from the advanced world. That the way we taught even in North America using Blackboard or even using the other MOOCs or modules, class our own, through which we are trying to give lessons to the students in the remote part of our country. So remember one thing: challenge is always good. You take challenge, you overcome it, and you feel good. You feel good, and that is what my urge to the students of my country: that never ever undermine yourself. You are a human being. You have enormous capacity, and I believe that every single individual, particularly the young students, they have huge potential in them. The only problem in our society and community and in our neighborhood and also in the family, that we are in the box type thinking process. We have to think beyond the box, and we have to agree on there are plenty of opportunities are existing in outside that box. And many people, many students do not see that out of the box things. They are restricting themselves within a small boundary. This small boundary is never ever going to give you opportunity to flourish in your life. And my request to all of you, that you develop yourself, as Jessica has mentioned, work on everything that you have deficiencies, and one after one you solve those things. You will see that how beautiful and how capable you are, and you can potentially contribute in your workplace. Even if you do not go job, your own business is going to be uniqueness. They are going to resolve a social issue in our country, a health issue in our country, an environmental issue in our country, and also a business problem that can be resolved in a minimum cost wise. So you see that optimality can be done in manifold, and one can minimize cost, one can maximize profit, or one can minimize something trouble, but you can optimize your happiness. That is what is very important for all these students. I would request the students in this virtual world, you try to gain all sort of knowledge, and it is very possible. Many of you think that, well, you do not have time, but remember one thing: for every single human being, the day is 24 hours. And within these 24 hours, one can design their timing in a way that they should be able to gain knowledge and enhance their capability, anything they think or they feel that they need to improve. And it is very possible. So do not just feel that you cannot do it. You can be somebody from this country who can become like Satya Nadal in India, who has become the CEO of Microsoft, or CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai from India, who has become the Google CEO. It is very possible even from a country like Bangladesh, someone is going to do very unique discovery, very groundbreaking discovery from this country and shake the whole world. And that is what is a possibility in the upcoming days, because we are living in a world is heavily connected, and you have to take the challenges with all these things. Again, I would say all the career seekers, those who are listening today, good luck to all of you and good wishes for all of you in your future endeavor. That I wish all of you are going to be eventually successful. But my request to all of you, let's shake the world. The world is far more bigger, the world that you are thinking for yourself, to be employed or to be absorbed or to be a contributory human being.
Thank you.
And above all, I would request you, rather than becoming a profit seeker, you become a good human being, a good social individual who is going to really create impact in the society and in the country and in neighborhood. And eventually you are going to see even this country, beautiful Bangladesh, is going to be turning to a developed Bangladesh by your own contribution from different corner. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderfully crafted speech. Since we are going to begin another session in 5 minutes, otherwise I would have loved to hear you an hour. Since we have scheduled another session that is on post-COVID career guidance and international education. So somebody who is expert into international education coming from EMK Center and went in America for the exchange program and worked globally for the global education, coming up in 5:15 p.m. So in 6 minutes, I would like to invite all of the students watching right now to join into that session if you're really looking forward for international education. Jessica, Ashe, thank you so much. Your closing remarks within a minute, and then going towards Professor Dr. H. Mustafizur Rahman for his closing remarks in a minute.
Okay, so I want to thank my colleagues, my esteemed colleagues out there for letting me be with you today. And I want to say to the students very quickly, each of you has something very special inside of you that was meant to solve a problem on this planet. So don't doubt yourself, go do it.
Much, Jessica, for the wonderful speech and closing. And for all of our concern, Jessica is coming for another program and another show coming up. So watch out our schedule, summit.ckhnetwork.com, where 80 international speakers, including Jessica and a lot of local, and global resources both. So over to Dr. Professor H. Mustafizur Rahman, because I am actually running very fast now. Thank you. Sir, your sound is closed. Sir, your sound. Sir, your sound.
Dr. Rahman, put your mute.
After sound, mute correct.
Socrates says, great teaching, know thyself. Please, the viewers, my students, all graduates, young graduates, I invite you all to know yourself, your potentials. Don't think that you are inferior. Think that you have got all potentials. I am, in accord, I am very much in accord with the sentiment of Professor Hannan Chowdhury. Wonderful. You are, of course, you can make things. You can win the world. So please, and let's bear this message. Love people, love everybody. Share your views and ideas with all people. With your seniors, seek suggestions. Yes. And last but not the least, grow as a good human being.
Absolutely.
Let's announce and declare that I am not harmful for anybody in the world. And I am always helpful for everyone. I am for all. I am meant for humanity. Let's have this sort of spirit. And lastly, from my own behalf and on behalf of my great institution, Jatiya Kabi Nazrul Islam University, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Kamrul Hasan Chowdhury for inviting me and to join this wonderful session with veteran and very scholarly Professor Abdul Hannan Chowdhury and Dr. Jessica. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
My
Thank you.
veteran and wonderful colleague.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica.
My student is also listening. I thank Sumaya very much. Okay.
I will come to
you.
university. Definitely. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you,
you.
Jessica. See you.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.